Hi everyone. Just to get a sense of who's in the room today, if I can have a quick show of hands from you. How many people here want to have a work environment they're really passionate about? Great. And how many of you experience creative blocks from time to time? Okay. And how many would like to achieve a better work-life balance? Awesome. So everyone who's raised their hand at least once is definitely at the right talk today. I used to work as a foreign correspondent, covering news and crises all over the continent. I would travel to the Central African Republic to cover civil war, then to Guinea to write about Ebola, to Niger to report about human trafficking and migration, or to northern Mali, like you can see in this picture here, to cover the Islamist insurgency. And at the same time, I was the mother of a now 7-year-old little girl, and as you can probably imagine, it wasn't always the easiest thing to combine those two roles. I would sometimes literally be in a situation where in the morning I'd be in a situation like this, get on a plane, and then come home in the late afternoon and try to make up for the week or so I was away, letting my daughter get away with far too many silly things. So I didn't have a very good work-life balance. So at one point in my life, I started to think how I could get more flow into my life, how I could combine my love for writing, storytelling, and photography with something that would also allow me to have a little bit more quality time with my family. So one day I went for a run, just let my mind wander. I was thinking about nothing in particular. And there popped this idea into my head, what if I created a website that would showcase, the best child-friendly things to do in and around Cape Town that would be really useful and valuable to parents, and would, a website that would allow them to, to find things that are very fun to do for the whole family, that would allow them to spend like a lot of quality time with their kids and create happy memories. Because that was exactly my situation, right? I had a really busy career and I didn't have time to constantly search the internet for trying to find which wine farm is now the best child-friendly, or what events are on for families or children this weekend. And that was basically how the idea for Again was planted. You might have noticed I just used the word flow, but what actually is flow and how do we attain it? Often flow is described as like a mental state where something almost seems to happen effortlessly. You find that athletes describe it as being in the zone. Some people call it being on autopilot, or something just clicks. So it's definitely something that comes more from the gut than from the brain. There's an American-Hungarian psychologist called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and he was actually the first one to identify and define flow and how we get into the state of flow. And I put a little phonetic spelling for you there if you want to pronounce this really difficult name. Basically, so he's saying we're achieving this feeling of flow, of things coming really easy to us when we are in complete concentration on the task, we're immersed in something, we have a clarity of goals, there is this transformation of time, speeding up, slowing down. So it's this typical situation, you're doing something, look up, oops, 2 hours have passed, where's the time gone? That's when, that's an experience of flow. The experience is intrinsically rewarding, and it comes with an effortlessness and ease. But the question is, so how do we, sounds great, how do we get into the state of flow? And one really easy way to do it, and it's actually super surprising, is it's walking. So some very clever guys at Stanford University did a study They had a group of research participants. They gave them a list of tasks that are commonly used to gauge creative thinking, and they split them up into 4 different groups. So the first group was just sat down in a plain windowless room, looking at a white wall and doing those tasks. The second group was put on a treadmill in the same room, just walking on the treadmill, also staring at a blank white wall. The third group walked around on campus in nature and fresh air. And then the fourth group was put in a wheelchair and pushed around that same route on campus, also in fresh air. Here's what they found out. That walking boosts creative inspiration by an average of 60%. I mean, this is really quite amazing. Something so easy to do and implement. And what they also found was that it didn't matter at all if you walk indoors and stare at a blank wall, or if you do it outside with nature and fresh air. So it was really about the physical exercise of walking, not so much about the outside environment. Even if you're at work, just walking around in your office is probably going to boost your creative thinking by quite a bit. And once it's boosted, it's going to, set to last for quite a while, the effect. But it doesn't only have to be walking. For some people, swimming works, cycling, yoga. You'll know that vinyasa yoga is often called flow yoga for exactly that reason. So it's really about this, almost automatic way of moving where your mind can flow, can wander. So it can't be something that's too strenuous. So if you're going for a really fast run, then your mind focuses on your body and on your effort, and then then this feeling of flow can't kind of get into motion. Or if you would go for a trail run and you constantly have to see not to stumble over the next route or the next stone, that wouldn't be very conducive. And it could also be something like meditation. That's why I put this quote here up from Deepak Chopra, creativity is in the gap between thought. Some people like it to do journaling, just writing, without too much structure, without too much of a goal behind it, or listening to music. So in other words, it's about not forcing the thinking. And make sure you have no distractions, so the smartphone needs to be off. And then there is another element that I identified that is really important to find flow in your life, and that's passion. That's passion is really about making sure your flow kind of stays with you in the long term. We all chase happiness at work, we all look for personal fulfillment, but how do you decide what natural talent, what are you good at? How do you choose a work that you will be passionate about, basically, in the long run? And I think this asking oneself this question is very key here. What do you enjoy being good at? And I highlighted the enjoy because it's really a 2-part question. So it's, what are you good at? So what are your skills? What are your talents? But also, what do you enjoy doing? And maybe you think that's obvious, but just to give you an example, I'm really good at, at structure, at putting things into order, at decluttering. But do I want to be the next Marie Kondo? Not really. Being a writer, a journalist, people would often say to me, hey, when are you going to write a book? You did so many interesting things. You should really write a book, And then when a few people say that to you, after a while you think, maybe that's what I should do. There's a lot of prestige in it. I'm a writer. But then I was thinking, hang on a minute. It's about, what are you good at, but what do you enjoy doing? And I'm much more of a social person, so for me, the thought of kind of locking myself into a room for weeks and months on end to write a book is not really what I want to do. So very unlikely I would get flow from that. As an opposite example, many years ago, I was a young freelance journalist. I knew this editor at a regional newspaper. He had basically my dream job at that point. He was running a very prestigious paper, and I was full of admiration, and I thought, wow, he must love what he's doing. And then one day he said to me, being the editor of this paper, for me, is just actually bread and butter money. What I really want to do is being a book author. So he didn't have that much flow in his life either. So let me just... And or let's say you've identified, you love medicine, you study medicine. So that's your thing. But then, within that, how do you enjoy applying your skill? So, for example, do you want to be a surgeon? Do you really enjoy, the technical skill of, being a doctor? Or, do you get joy and flow from imparting that knowledge and maybe becoming a college professor and, teaching people at university medicine? Or do you want to work for an NGO and fly across, Africa or other poverty-stricken nations and help people in need? So I think very, very different ways of, looking at this question. So the other day, I came across this post on Facebook, and I hope Tabby Seela doesn't mind that I'm using it. So it said, "Good morning, ladies. Please advise any business ideas. I want to start one. I have about 25,000 Rand. Thank you in advance." She got actually quite a few comments. A lot of them were from life and business coaches. Obviously also hoping to perhaps get a new client. And here's what they said, some of them. "I would suggest you start by looking at what your passions are and what lights you up and what problems you want to solve with the business. I recommend people define the goal towards which they want to work and the passion and purpose behind it." And then another person said, "Be clear first on what problem in the market you're solving with your business. Secondly, what will make you the best or a priority provider to the consumer? Are you passionate about it? Would it keep you awake at night without being tired of doing it? If so, then it's what you're meant to do." So they all say it in different words, but they're all saying basically, be passionate, because if you're doing it for a really long time, what happened? You better like it. Then there is another take on the topic that I really like by American marketing guru Seth Godin. And he basically believes that, there's the usual mantra of do what you love. And he says, well, maybe the more effective mantra should be love what you do. Because having fun in your life and being passionate about something doesn't mean that you'll enjoy every single minute of it or every hour of it. There's still going to be days when you rather want to stay in bed or rather go to the beach. And then there's always going to be tasks that are a bit boring, like admin or taxes. But in general and overall, you should get a feeling of enjoyment from the work you do. And this is what he says: "If we can fall in love with serving people, creating value, solving problems, building valuable connections, and doing work that matters, it makes it far more likely we are going to do important work." So basically, if you can add to, finding something that you're good at and that you're passionate about, and then adding value not only to your own life, but to other people's lives as well through the work you do, that's really when you kind of crack the nut. And there's actually research that backs that up. So I'm just struggling with my slides here. Because research shows that if you create values for others, you boost your own happiness and well-being, you improve your ability to manage stress, stave off disease, and lower blood pressure, you reduce your rate of depression, and increase your overall sense of satisfaction. So not only are you creating flow in your life and you have a passionate work environment, but you're also going to be happier, healthier, and live longer. So pretty much a no-brainer. So after I went on that run that I mentioned earlier, my passion became the creation of a game. I wanted to create an authentic, trustworthy resource that connects parents to the best child-friendly venues in and around Cape Town. So the best wine farms and restaurants and animal encounters, arts and crafts, classes for kids, theatre, indoor-outdoor activities, beaches, playgrounds, and so on. And one thing that was also really important to me was to have a category for activities under 50 rand, because having fun as a family doesn't always need to cost a lot of money. We believe the best activities and places bring the whole family together. So that's when we list child-centric venues like a petting zoo or a trampoline park. We always make sure there's something for parents there to have fun as well. Be it a good cup of coffee or free Wi-Fi or at least a nice view. And if it's adult-focused places like a restaurant or a wine farm, we check that there's a jungle gym or a kids menu, a high chair, a baby changing tables, toys, a childminder, all those things. And this is our little mascot Scout, and he helps out us to find Scout for the best places. This is just an example of what one of our listings looks like. We have a very clear distinction, a very clear line between editorial and advertorial. Sorry, this slide's not very sharp. But none of our listings are sponsored. They're all very carefully selected, researched, and rated by us. And we have a very limited amount of advertising, and that's always very clearly marked. So that goes really back to providing authentic and trustworthy content to the parents. We always we have a little blurb that basically tells you a little review of what the place is about. We tell you why parents love it, why children love it, what age range it's good for. Then we have all these little icons that tell you what amenities are at a place. And a little ice cream rating, that gives you an idea of how much we like that place. Then further below, there's also contact details and a Google map to make it really easy to make a reservation and to get there. And then on our website, we have a What's On section that tells people about upcoming events, once-off events, 2 weeks in advance, and a weekly newsletter that helps them plan the weekend. And this was a little video that was supposed to play that should show you how it would look using it on a mobile phone, but unfortunately it's not working on the system. But basically what I also really wanted was to save parents time, so they would spend less time searching around the internet and spending more time with their kids. So we developed this integrated internal search bar where you can search by type of activity, type of location, and kids' age. So if you say, okay, it's Saturday, I want to go to Stellenbosch, I have a toddler and a teen, and I want to, go to a wine farm, you can click it. It will spit out all the wine farms that are right for you, or all the animal encounters, or all the restaurants, or whatever you're looking for. But most importantly, I managed to create a pretty good work-life balance for myself. I found a way to combine my, love for my media skills and my love for storytelling with, going out, doing research for my company, and spending quality time with my daughter. So that's how I found my flow. How are you going to find yours?